CoinPilot channel. To receive updates of all cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin news and views, remember to subscribe and hit the bell icon below to receive notifications. Enjoy the video.
I'm very optimistic that these new cryptocurrencies that are all built on different blockchains are going to be an important phenomenon, in the coming years. They're decentralized, which means there isn't a single point of control, a bank that can control it. Certainly Bitcoin is the granddaddy right now and is the one that has the most momentum from the people who are mining it and the people who are developing it. And I think it's going to be around for a very long time as a pretty stable asset. But I'm more excited by a lot of the innovations to come.
What do you define as stable? Why do you think it's going to be stable?
I think it's going to be, look, stable is a very hard word. It's been incredibly volatile over the past couple of years. But I think it's going to keep increasing and be the one which has the most volume for quite a while. But I think the innovation around the edges with what people can do with the blockchain is going to transform a lot more than just an asset that people can buy and hold.
Ed, are we back in this cycle, though, where companies are talking about Bitcoin to grab a headline? Because remember when Overstock and Expedia and even Dish put out press releases saying you can now use Bitcoin. Are we back there?
You can use Bitcoin. You put in the press release, you put in the headline, and the stock goes up. That's what happened with Square yesterday. Look, I think the technology underlying that, as you pointed out, John, the blockchain is interesting. It's basically you're settling transactions without an intermediary. That's really cool. The problem with Bitcoin that I have is that the whole point, the whole conceit was that there is no central sort of governing body. It's not a fiat currency like the US dollar is, but they're still having a hard time sorting out what to do with Bitcoin. There was this move to do what's called a hard fork, where you sort of split the currency, make transactions go faster. The consortium that sort of makes that decision, which, by the way, who the hell are these guys? Like, they couldn't even agree on that. So, yes, volatility. I don't really know what you're buying at this point. There's a lot of, the idea that technology is great, but in practice and execution, it's really bizarre.
So in a reasonable sense, what do you think the volume that Square could potentially do in Bitcoin transactions would even be? Well,
so even the technology, the way that Square seems to be employing it, it's sort of like a hack where there's sort of a centralized coin account that they're using and everyone's sort of pulled into it. So it's not even sort of a great solution. I think it's nice that they're trying to offer sort of another service on top of what they're doing. I think it doesn't seem like a long-term play for them. I think it's just sort of, there's something here we could tap into. If Square came up with its own sort of currency based on a blockchain, that would be much more interesting, I think.
Josh, we had a discussion earlier about some of the board members at Square, David Viniar, Mary Meeker, who ostensibly know about this or signed off on this. I mean, those are heavy hitters. You got Lloyd Blankfein saying they're intellectually curious about this new possibility. What would it take for that debate to be settled? I mean, the debate about whether or not industry titans were truly going to back something like this.
I think what's interesting is also following the demand here. If you talk to a lot of millennials and a lot of younger folks who are starting to have money and they're thinking about where to invest, Bitcoin is incredibly popular among that group and among them trying to figure out where to invest some of their first money. So if you're a company like Square that's really trying to...
6 months ago.
Well, and they all still use Snapchat, even though the company hasn't continued to scale. And so Square is trying to follow the trend. And I think if you're sitting on the board, you see this as an experiment, but you also see it as something to serve the customers you already have. And, otherwise they're going to go elsewhere. They're going to Coinbase, which is a Greylock investment, and a lot of people are buying and selling through there.
Quickly, Ed, if you can, are you aware of any Bitcoin fundamentals, like actual things that seem to dictate whether the price goes up or down?
No fundamentals whatsoever. The only sort of factor that I can see, and this is still a big mystery, is how Chinese currency is trading against that. I think if you're middle class or got big investments in China and you want to sort of move your currency out.
Because of all of the capital controls.
Exactly. This is the way to do it, and I feel like that's fueling a big part of that bubble. That's the only thing that I can see right now.